So, this is what it's like to face fear. This must be how Yugi felt when he stared into the eyes of my Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon at Duelist Kingdom. If I'm to reclaim my title as the greatest duelist in history, I must beat the monster that even Yugi couldn't defeat.
Greetings once again, my friends, and welcome back to Geek News Anime Night, where we take on, in this particular case, every duel that everybody loves from the most popular saga within Yu-Gi-Oh!, the Battle City Tournament. I am, of course, your host, Adam Drac Mickelson, and I am overseeing all of you in my awesome helicopter, looking down on all you horrible, horrible plebes with my belts attached to my arm. And joining me tonight, because I'm going to have to summon them, first of all, I'm going to summon my Egyptian god card, Duelist, the Tormentor. How you doing?
Yeah, though, I think you're probably peaking with your mic there.
Probably just a little bit. That's okay though. We can fix that really quick. And then also, let me go ahead and summon my well, I wish I could summon it, but unfortunately I gave it to a dueling computer for some freaking reason. I'm going to go ahead and tell them to summon Blue Eyes Ultimate Brinton. How are you doing?
Oh my, I actually really like that introduction.
I spent the whole of 1 hour doing all of this.
I mean, I don't have blue eyes. However, I'm pretty good.
Good.
The week has been hell, but I'm good. I survived.
Well, that's all we can ask, because unfortunately we just had to survive too. So today is good. It's actually going to probably be one of our shorter episodes because we only had to cover one. There is a duel in it, so don't worry too much about this, but this is basically, once again, in the pregame of the Battle City Tournament, as we are covering the Yu-Gi-Oh! Episode aptly named OBELISK the Tormentor, because it is basically setting up the brand new tournament and the stakes that are involved. To give a quick summation, we finally have Yugi go to the museum to realize that the Egyptian tablet of plot convenience has ordained that him and Kaiba must duel.
Oh my.
By the way, I don't know if you guys noticed this.
You caught me off guard. I'm so sorry.
Well, that's what it is.
It's so
You're not wrong.
It's just the bluntness and the honesty in how you said it,
Yep.
and probably mixing with the fact that I am so slap happy right now that I have had so many laughing fits this week that the majority of my comedy is probably just going to be me laughing.
Yeah, probably. But one thing I actually want to, well, I'll get to that in the moment. But let's get the plot out of the way. So, Yugi now learns the stakes of this tournament because he finally gets to talk to Ishizu, the person who's supposed to predict the future, but kind of has a hard time doing it. And then also we have the second story of Kaiba testing both his brand new Egyptian god card that was given to him by Ishizu, but also the new dual disc system that he will be implementing, complete with his new Battle City rules for the elite duelists. I love the fact that they pointed at it. It's only for elite duelists. It's totally not, because we actually have rules to the card game now. So that's pretty much the plot there. And then, well, when these plots kind of end, we then get the start of the Battle City Tournament, or at least the announcement of the Battle City Tournament and registration starting up. But let's dissect this a little bit. So, really quick, in you guys' opinion, what did this episode do right with these two plots?
Adam, you go first. I'm going to go shut up some dogs.
It's all right. Alex, go ahead.
All right. I think it's nice to get the proper introduction of Isuzu.
Well,
pretty plot.
Technically, this is her introduction to Yugi, but
Yeah,
there is an
of course.
episode where Kaiba saw her first. So that's technically her introduction, but I see what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. For her proper introduction to Yugi, her with her Millennium Necklace, it's like, hey, like, wow, we all have Millennium items here.
Yes, but because of
So-
course this is how you know I'm a main character, or at least a character you have to pay attention to because I have a Millennium item.
Yep.
Which is funny because Kaiba doesn't have one, and yet everybody pays attention to him. So,
It's true.
so yeah, I like that too. I like the fact that they built the stakes for Kaiba, in the fact that she basically played to his pride and said, "Well, I have predicted that you will start this tournament, and the reason that you're going to do it is basically where you get the explanation of how the rare hunters work." And that you will create a tournament that will lure the rare hunters out. And here's my carrot on a stick for you. I'm going to give you a really overpowered Duel Monsters card. So I like the fact that they did that because we're not going to be covering that episode. But I also like how she did it with Yugi because all you had to do with, or rather Yami in this case, because she talked to Yami, is say that this tournament is basically going to be tied to your fate, and you will understand why you have to be a part of this as you go along. Which apparently is just the perfect carrot and stick for Yugi, because that's how Pharaoh works. So Bridget, have we finally silenced the doggies?
Yeah, we have a spray bottle and we spray them, and they know they need to shut up.
Yep.
So that's literally what I just did. Super harmless. Super recommended for anybody
Yeah,
who has
it's like
unruly dogs.
the bad apple smell, isn't it?
We actually just use plain water. But you guys aren't here to listen to me go on about dogs. What did this episode do right?
Well, I
I
mean,
think
technically,
this-
God is dog backwards.
That was clever. I will definitely give you that one.
All right.
That was well done.
That was the most dad joke I could come up with on such short notice.
And that is why I appreciate it. Oh, hello, giant dog. So I really love how like the actual card game rules have been established.
Mhm.
And I feel that if I like how they're established because there has to be such a great sacrifice to literally summon an Egyptian god
Mhm.
in this card game sense. So to finally, and I kind of actually do like that it is Battle City, like these rules are specific for this Battle City tournament.
Yes.
You guys are the best of the best. Therefore, we're going to up the ante. We're going to make things a little bit more challenging. How is that going to affect your gameplay, your strategy, and how you essentially like duel with your decks?
Mhm.
And I think that was a like very subtle, very excellent plot point that needed to be established.
Yes.
And I don't and then just more plot being established by
Yeah,
they
basically gave motivation for both main protagonists here, because Yugi has his Yami has his destiny to consider, and Yugi's just gonna try and help him with that. But then Kaiba, you basically played to his ego. He's wanting to restore his title as the world champion, and so he will host his own tournament to prove that he is the true king of games, not Yugi. And so at that point, like, it plays to both of them. And I also do like, I get why the Battle City rules were established, because they were going to start using actual rules in the card game. And I do know that card game enthusiasts for Yu-Gi-Oh! Do have complaints with that, and we'll get into that in a minute. But I do like the fact they establish rules that people know. I mean, up until that point, this is what you knew about Duel Monsters. Here's attack points, here's defense points, here are life points. First one to reach 0 wins, or first one to reach 0 loses. And so at that point, now that we have an actual rule set to be able to go off of, things are going to make a lot more sense, and it's not going to look so much like shenanigans on the field. So I like that. I also like the fact that this introduced the dual disc system, which I have no problem admitting that Duelist Kingdom dual disc was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. You know what I'm talking about, right, Alex? The spinning top.
It's been forever, so I don't really remember.
Yeah, he created a spinning top that like you put the cards on, which
Mhm.
my question is how do the cards not fly off going that fast? And then you throw it out and it does it simulates the monster kind of thing. And then when they do the second round with Yugi and Kaiba, they then show that like all the cards in your hands all get displayed to you in a holographic display. But the dual disc in this is so much better in a lot of cases. It's still hokey because it has like the little holo projectors going out with little dragon wings on them, but it at least makes more sense than that. And it also, I mean, obviously looks good enough to be able to make a toy of it. So I like the fact that we now establish, oh, okay, we don't need these dueling arenas anymore. We can actually just do this in a back alley and it'll work.
That
Yeah.
sounds so sketchy.
I mean, yeah, but like, and on top of that, I think they actually, in the next episode, they do actually put a price on the dual disc, and it is somehow cheaper than a PS5. I think it's even cheaper than a Switch. And I'm just like,
I mean,
how the
we
crap
are
did Kaiba
talking-
Corp work that out?
I mean, this is early 2000s, so
Yeah,
who
because
knows?
I think it was like 150, or it was supposed to be $150. And so I'm like, you went lower than Disney and your tech is way more than Disney, or you went less than Nintendo and your tech is way better. What the hell?
I mean, that amazing. That would have been cheaper than even a GameCube at that era.
Oh yeah,
that time.
I mean seriously. So at that point, I mean kudos to Kaiba Corp, but yeah, I do like the unveiling of the dual disc. I like the stakes are basically established, and also that the fact that Kaiba's talking this tournament up, like he only sent invitations to the greatest of duelists, even though we do know that there's going to be some tripe in Battle City. He basically plays up everybody is like quote on his level. So at that point, it really sets up a real challenge for Yugi, because when you look back to the Kaiba duels, they're all really close, and they could have easily gone either way. And now it's just like, oh, Yugi's gonna have duels that are like that all the time. And I mean, spoiler, he kind of does. So at that point, so is there anything here we didn't like about this episode? I've got notes, so I'll point those out in a minute. But was there anything that this episode did wrong in your eyes?
For this artificial intelligence to be programmed in a way to make the best possible dueling decisions to go, and literally using Kaiba's deck to go up against Kaiba himself,
Yes.
it made some really stupid ass choices.
It kind of did. I will openly admit that it was still very like, if that was like the most advanced dueling AI, whatever, it must have been at level 1, because it did make a lot of really dumb decisions. It made some good ones, I'll give it that, but it also made a lot of bad ones. So I agree with that. I will, like, for me, it's difficult to call anything truly like episode breaking bad in this, because again, it's building up. It's building up to the Battle City tournament, and in that case, you have to build up the stakes for your protagonist. In this case, Kaiba would be like the antagonist, but they also set things up for Merrick being the antagonist, and that his rare hunters will go to the city of Domino, which, by the way, who the fuck names their city Domino? I mean, Domino's Pizza, maybe, but so I mean, at that, and its mascot is the Noid, appropriately enough. So at that point, like they do enough to be able to set those up and also be able to establish the rules and whatnot. So it's kind of hard to say like this episode broke anything. But I mean, if I'm wrong, feel free to say so.
Can't say so either. I think it was, like you said, a pretty standard episode for its time, and
Yeah,
like it's a setup because we're still building into Battle City, and I think they pulled that off well with Kaiba's sort of big reveal where he's like flying over the city in a chopper and he's like, "Hey, everybody, there comes my tournament."
I've actually seen people discuss this. Because the video that he's got up on the buildings is supposed to be, quote, a live feed, but a lot of people have basically pointed out that it couldn't possibly have been a live feed. He must have pre-recorded that. At that point, I'm just like, I don't care. It's the Ric Flair of anime. He can do whatever the fuck he wants as long as he cuts a good goddamn promo.
I do have to say, because they were essentially showing all of the duelists that have been invited, at
Yes.
the end of the episode to this tournament. One thing that popped into my head, just looking at all the, being revisiting all of these character designs and reacquainting with my childhood,
Mhm.
the thought that came into my head was hair for days and legs for days.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like,
Like did you notice that
holy crap.
a lot of the like the background duelists all strangely looked like other shonen protagonists with their hairstyles?
100%.
I
Oh my gosh.
couldn't confirm this. Like I saw Goku in there. I saw somebody with a headband and spiky hair, so I'm like, okay, that's Naruto. And I could have sworn I saw somebody in the way background that was wearing a straw hat, but I can't guarantee that because it was kind of shadowed. But it would totally make sense, wouldn't it? And there even was a Yusuke in there, where he had the slick back black hair and he was like in a green t-shirt. It was like, okay, yeah, that's great. I love it.
And you want to know what's so crazy is that like One Piece and Naruto at the time of this episode's conception were still really new manga and anime.
Yeah.
That
If
is
I remember,
so mind-blowing.
if I remember correctly, in the timeline, while Yu-Gi-Oh was airing, 4Kids was recording their One Piece dub. You know, the one
Yeah,
that the
this still
fans
would've-
love.
Oh my, wow, that and now One Piece has almost 1,100 chapters in like over 105 plus manga. Like, just oh my gosh,
I'm not even sure. Has it? I know that that Oda said that he's setting up the final arc, but I don't think it's gone through yet because I think it's
Not
still
yet.
going.
It's still going.
It is still going very strong.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
it could very well be the longest running series in Shonen Jump by the time that it's like over.
Yeah. Exactly. So at that point, like that just gives you kind of a perspective. Is like the dub that everybody hates, the 4Kids dub that was being recorded when this was airing, and so at that point, it's like, ooh, okay, well now we can see why it was kind of hammy because this is what 4Kids does. So yeah, but I will agree. This was good setup and also hair and legs for days. There were lots. I especially love that a lot of shots in this are emphasized towards Taya and Mai, who are the basic legs for days characters in this series. So at that point, it's gonna be. It was great. I especially like the fact that they put Taya in the exact same outfit that she went out on the quote date with Yugi, which I always giggle at because she's basically wearing like a Walmart tube top. I'm just like, wow. And because I think they say in like season 0 that her family's kind of well off. Like she should not be getting anything. Like everything she has is pretty high priced, and it looks like she basically got that from Target. So great, good on you. All right, so as I pointed out in the past, I am going to be taking notes for this, and we can discuss these moments as we go along. I'm also going to say if things get silly enough in some of these episodes, I might record audio clips just so that we can relive that moment and laugh at it. I have no problem saying that, but it has to be incredibly stupid. So at that point, let me go ahead and go into my notes. First of all, I had, and I already said this, but behold, the tablet of plot convenience. Which by the way, I just barely thought Shizu showed him one tablet. She didn't show Yugi the other one, which she did show to Kaiba. which is the one
What
with the
was,
gods.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm literally just watching the duels only. So
Yeah.
I didn't know that Kaiba got to see 2 tablets.
Yeah, I believe there's 2 tablets. One that highlights the gods, and then the other that highlights the duel between the pharaoh and the high priest.
Oh, I remember that one.
So
now.
at that
I know
point,
what
yeah,
that
I
looks
find
like.
that funny. The other,
I want to add on to that really quick, Adam, if
Yeah.
I may, that I find it also rather convenient that there is an Egyptian exhibit going on ever so conveniently before all of this is happening.
I love the convenience in some anime sometimes. It's like, oh, all this Egyptian stuff just so happens to be here when we're about to have a major plot element here. I love
It
it.
makes me wonder if Isiju had curated all of this because she knew, oh, this is about to happen. Let's bring all this stuff over to Domino City.
Well, I mean, her Millennium Necklace only shows her the future that's going to happen. So obviously she did, and I think they even said like she brought in some pieces herself from the Tomb Keepers later on. So at that point, it wouldn't be surprising to me. In fact, now that you've brought up Ishizu, she was another thing I noticed. The Pharaoh comes up and says, "Will you help me, Ishizu?" "I will totally help you, Pharaoh, after you win the upcoming tournament."
Oh yeah. I thought like
Which is
yeah.
especially funny because it's not said here, but later on, you find out the Tomb Keepers are very loyal to the Pharaoh and would basically sacrifice themselves for him. But she basically said, "Bitch, please," and made him work for it. So I don't care if it's the Millennium Necklace, but I just laughed at that. Oh yeah, I'll totally help you after you win. It's like, okay, fine. So,
I bitch.
the other thing that just made me absolutely laugh out loud was so when Kaiba's getting ready for his duel with the dueling computer, the order is made to keep the medics on standby for this totally safe toy for kids to duel with.
There he does say they do say he turns off the safeguards. So.
Yeah, he did say turn off the safeguards, but I just love the fact that, oh, keep the medics on standby. I'm like, really? You're about to market this thing to people. So I like that. And then, yeah, man, this dual computer must have been programmed by Yugi for all of its, quote, lucky draws.
Oh my gosh. I was thinking about that myself.
I was either going to say that or I was going to say, wow, this dueling computer has been programmed with the heart of the cards or something.
Yeah, well, whoever shuffled that deck did a piss poor job.
God, man. Because, like, the luck that this thing had. I mean, it got Lord of Dragons, second draw, I think? And then it already had... And here's how this had to have worked out. It had to have at least had 2 blue eyes in its opening hand for any of this stuff to work. And so at that point, it's like, you mother effer. Like, this is the most lucky-ass thing ever. Either Kaiba intentionally rigged this to screw himself, or this is just the most conveniently made shuffling of the deck I've ever seen. And so, like, you were mentioning earlier, Brenton, that, like, this computer made a lot of really bad decisions. It also, like, had a lot of good luck for itself for some reason. The other thing, too, I also like is the Kaiba. This is what it... I love that we actually got a monologue out of this, but basically he did a Dark Knight Rises. Oh, this is what it feels like to face my blue eyes.
And I love how he goes... Like, I just love how also Yugi obsessed he is.
Mm-hmm.
Because then he goes on in that same monologue to be like, is this what Yugi must have felt when he trembled beneath my blue eyes?
Yes.
And it's like, dude, like, go do that in the bathroom. Like, I don't need to watch this.
Dude, go rub one off in the bathroom. You know?
No, I'm really happy that is what got you.
Well, no, because the other thing I was just barely thinking of is like, okay, we've all watched a fair degree of shonen anime at this in our lives. So at that point, like, yes, you do have a rival character, and yes, they are kind of obsessed with the main protagonist. But are they really as obsessed as Kaiba is with Yugi? Not. I had to go through it a little bit, and not really. Like, some of them have their own lives, and so they can have moments where they're probably not thinking about the rival. But in this case, no, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he has a major hate boner for Yugi. Real bad hate boner.
I would say that the antithesis of that would be Naruto and Sasuke, because people still to this day are like, oh yeah, Naruto 100% had a thing for Sasuke. Like,
I'm going to disagree with you, but only in this aspect. I do think that there was somebody who thought about Sasuke a lot more than Naruto, and that was fucking Sakura. That's it.
Okay, I mean, fair enough.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, there were points where I was actually kind of surprised she wouldn't, like just start cutting herself because she couldn't see Sasuke.
I'm pretty sure they could not publish that even in Japan.
No, that's in the unedited version that Kishimoto has put off in his closet somewhere.
Oh my god. Getting back on track.
So, but I did like that we had the, so that's what that feels like kind of moment. So when he summons, this is going to be a thing with every stinking god card that gets summoned. That freaking chorus when a god is summoned never gets old. Now, granted, I'm sure you guys probably have different opinions, but like just hearing that happen and then seeing the gods, it's a great music clip to be able to play when a god is being summoned. And I will also say this, in future Yu-Gi-Oh series, nothing matches that. And there are other like god like cards that get brought into those. Nothing matches that. So I'm glad that we're going to get a whole lot of that. And then I love this concept. So if you guys remember, Kaiba won. And for some reason, not sure how, OBELISK was apparently so powerful that the dueling computer caught fire and eventually exploded. So I don't know if you guys made this observation or not, but oh shit, Kaiba's blue eyes just got blown up.
That's exactly what came to my mind. I was like, is this gonna like blow up and catch on fire? Proceeds to blow up.
I mean, if we were adhering to continuity, yes, because they all would have been in that dueling computer, so they all would have caught fire and exploded. But no, I mean, you can't do that because Blue Eyes is just so synonymous with Kaiba. But I just love the concept. There's even, like, if you go back and look at it, there's even animation where it looks like one of the cards in the dueling computer has caught fire. I was like, oh my god, that could be a Blue Eyes there. So
it really could be, yes.
It could have been. So this is what I liked about the introduction of Mai. First of all, her outfit is so very Victoria's Secret model, is it not? There's so much lace and silk in that outfit compared to Duelist Kingdom. I mean, Duelist Kingdom was leather, but
that's when the thought hair for days and legs for days came to mind, because I was just like, right. holy legs on this person. Like, where are her organs?
I mean, I'm guaranteeing this. Duelist Kingdom Mai did not bring people in, but Battle City Mai, yeah, she got some tier 3 subs out of that. I have no problem saying it. But I loved in the introduction, so this was Mai meeting up with Taya. Oh, hi, Taya. Nice to see you. Hey, let me headlock you into my big boobs.
Oh, it's such an anime thing, though.
I was actually going to say, is that a trope of, like, rival female characters in shonen? I don't know if it is.
And yeah, it really is. It's always the busty one versus the flat one.
But Taya's not even flat. I would actually say she's probably got a better body than Mai, but I'm picky. What can I say? As many people in my live streams have pointed out, apparently when it comes to women, I'm very picky. So I'm like, okay. But I love the fact that they did that, and also just the introduction that Mai and Taya don't like each other. And Yugi is just like, I don't understand why. Of course you don't, Silly pants. So the other one I got, I also loved on Mai's outfit, that deck holster garter belt. Are you freaking kidding me? Like they're what? They're trying to make her out to be a Bond girl now. She's got to have her deck on her thigh. I mean, I'm sorry, but she's carrying around a freaking duffel bag. You couldn't put your deck in there.
Well, if you think about it, even like Yugi had a deck holster on his belt loop, like he was carrying around a Nokia cell phone.
Yeah,
like,
no, but to me, that makes a lot more sense than her carrying it around like a garter belt. I mean,
that's classic Mai, though. Like,
it is.
I looked at that and I was like, oh, that makes sense. And then Yugi just pulled out his deck randomly, and I was just like, why is that so weird?
Also, like, to some extent, Yugi tries to hide his deck at least a little bit with his school uniform. Mai just has it right out there. So like, if you try to steal it, well, you're copping a feel. So at that point, no, I mean, she thought it all through. No thief is ever going to steal her deck. So yeah, we had that, and then I also like the new look. And I've gotten arguments for saying this online, but I actually do like the new look for Weevil and Rex in Battle City, in the fact that it's reflected throughout the rest of the series, because Rex and Weevil in Duelist Kingdom look like really, really pudgy kids. For some reason they do. And it always bugged me, and then this one basically kind of just slimmed them out. And Rex's outfit hasn't necessarily changed all that much. Weevil's is just, it's perfect for him because it's all bug oriented. I mean, you have the scarab on his shirt, you have the little scarab between his glasses. Yeah, it's totally bugged out for him, and it works so well for his character. So I got to give some kudos there, because Rex and Weevil all actually look like threats in Battle City compared to Duelist Kingdom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's definitely a character upgrade, you can say.
Yes,
going into this tournament.
I can't necessarily say that of Mako, but I think the problem with Mako is that he would basically be walking around in swim trunks, and that might break some public indecency laws. So I get that he had to have a shirt on, even though that was clearly fan service for people like Brenton. I don't know why you cut it off.
Hey, don't call me out.
And then we also got the introduction of a whole new duelist, Esperoba, who we will see later on, but they really kind of hype up that he's got a duel, like or at least Mai hypes him up and makes it so he has a very elitist or an elite dueling reputation kind of thing. And at least they get the questions being asked of Esperoba and whether or not he's going to be a threat to Yugi. So I will give credit there, because yes, we have all the other people that are looking like Goku and whatnot, but these were the threats you had to establish in Battle City. Is that, we were going to have some of the same old, but we were also going to have some new threats. So I like how they went about doing that. And then, sorry, Alex, I've got to do it. But him on the helicopter. Behold, Seto Kaiba, PS5 edition!
So true.
I'm assuming everybody here has seen that joke, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess Brenton's dealing with dogs again. But yeah, okay. So this is the introduction of Kaiba's new outfit for Battle City and basically the rest of the series, because even though like he does put on other outfits, he always falls back to this one. So at that point, like, Alex, your thoughts on Kaiba Battle City version compared to Duelist Kingdom?
It's a bit much, the belts everywhere and the outfit is so weird.
Yes. Yeah, no, it is. But I like it. Just because it's totally Kaiba trying to draw attention to himself. Because somebody with that big of an ego, they are doing everything to get everybody to pay attention to him. So I love the belts. I love the fact that his I don't know if we could call it a trench coat, maybe a trench vest, has a big ass Kaiba Corp logo on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I'm so happy they came up with this outfit. It's great. But I also do like the fact that yes, if you guys don't know the meme, basically they slapped Seto Kaiba's head on a PS5, and it pretty much looks right. So
Yeah.
Hi. Yes. No, I completely agree with that. Sorry.
yes.
I was actually going to make note about Yugi and Kaiba's outfits. I want to because I wanted to say I love how they just make them so edgy, and I would expect it out of Kaiba, but then you get to Yugi, who's supposed to be this innocent kind of dude, teenager, and he's out with the tank top shirt,
Yes.
skinny jeans.
I mean, maybe it's still his school uniform, but I don't know, because the jacket looks the same. But
yeah, it's just when he's Yami Yugi, there's
Yeah.
just the chains and just all this edgy emo stuff, and I'm like,
Yes.
yeah, I would have never expected this.
yes, because to me, like the image of Yami is much more defined when in later episodes in Battle City he basically takes the jacket and wears it like a cape. So at that point he's Pharaoh, and then when he has the jacket on, it's Yugi. You know, so it's basically setting up familiarity, but also changing the character a little bit. Whereas with Kaiba, you could totally get away with that because he's the obnoxious rich boy. So he can, of course, go and get a brand spanking new outfit, and will totally accept that.
Right.
Because I mean, for crying out loud, like when we look at all the characters that are showcased in this episode, how many are actually legitimately changed? Compared to those who aren't, because Rex's design doesn't really change. Like we said, Taya in a previous episode was wearing this exact same outfit. Mai obviously had to change because she had to get sexier. And Kaiba had to change because now he's basically kind of a villain, but not really.
More of an anti-hero.
Yeah, and so at that point, like, they basically did a good job of saying, okay, this character needs to change, but this one not so much. And in the case of Yugi, they changed him just enough that he's familiar to people, but he also is going to look brand new out in that tournament. And I also do like the concept that we'll find this out in the next episode, but he basically retools his own deck. So he's not using his grandpa's deck anymore, and so we're going to see a bunch of brand new cards that are designed by both the Pharaoh and Yugi. So that's going to be awesome, and that's going to reflect that. And then Kaiba obviously retooled his deck because now he has a whole new hotness in it. But I did like that. And then another note that I had was I just love the stakes, the stakes of the tournament as set by Kaiba. When he's speaking on the helicopter, he's basically saying, okay, here's the rules. You will have, I don't think they've explained the locator cards yet, but they basically have stated that yes, when you duel, you put your rarest card on the line, and if you lose that card, which is ultimately just the bait to bring the rare hunters in. And I actually like that because that, like, to duelists like this of Kaiba's caliber, that would be a huge loss for them. And so at that point, the stakes are set where everybody needs to win. And everybody is motivated to win because obviously they all have relationships with their decks, right? Not those kinds of relationships.
Oh my gosh, I don't think anybody was thinking that specifically, Adam.
I'm just curbing it right now because this is going up on the internet and Rule 34 is the thing. So I'm just basically saying that. And then, of course, my last note was the Ric Flair of anime in that damn chopper. Oh, God, that shot is so great for Kaiba. I can only compare it to some imagery that I've seen in, like, Capcom video games, where they're basically setting up the villain and setting up the hero as he has to rise to the level of this person's expertise, and they did it beautifully while also basically playing to Kaiba's ego. Hey, I'm rich, ergo I'm better than all of you. So yeah, if you don't get why I call Seto Kaiba the Ric Flair of anime, there it is. There it is, right there. He is the rich snob that thinks he's better than everybody, but also has the capability of losing. So what I'm saying is that you can love to hate him and you can love to like him. It really works either way. But those are pretty much the notes that I had. Anything else that I forgot to add in this one? I like the fact that okay, this is just typical Mokuba, but Mokuba worries way too much about Seto. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
she just does, but no, it's he in our series. So, because
I prefer him in Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged. That's all I'm gonna say.
yes, yeah. Well, I actually like the fact that when I was talking Yu-Gi-Oh! With some other people, an interesting comparison was made about Mokuba being close to Tweak from South Park, where it's just like, what? The medics are on standby. Whoa! What? You turned off the safeties. Whoa! It's like, okay, Mokuba, calm down. This is not the first time your brother's done something absolutely shit crazy. It's probably not going to be the last either. You'd think that you just kind of build up scar tissue to this by this point. But no, Mokuba has to be the only one that cares about Kaiba. So I guess that's the way that it goes. But so we've talked about the positives. We've talked about the negatives. Out of 5, what would you give Obelisk the Tormentor?
3 stars for me.
3 stars as well. I completely agree with Alex.
I'm about there too. I'm about 3.5. Because again, it's not like this episode is doing anything spectacular. It's just setting up the Battle City tournament and also some of the stakes that are going to be put into play. Also, like the rare hunters and things like that. And also establishing we're going to have more Millennium items being shown in this series. So yeah, it's right down the middle. It's a build-up episode, but that's going to go ahead and do it for this particular podcast. I kind of figured that this would be at least a little bit shorter because we're only covering 1 episode. But thank you guys so much for watching and listening. We appreciate you guys. And if you're brand spanking new, we welcome you here. Make sure to continue to follow us on YouTube, as well as on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Player.fm, and Spotify, where we will update as we go along. And next week, we will be taking on another single episode, but also is important as it sets up stakes for Joey, our favorite little underdog, entering the tournament. So thank you so much also to Brinton and Alex for joining me on this adventure, and we'll be very interested to see how things heat up. Alex, if people want to be able to get a hold of you to tell you whether or not your opinions are wrong, how do they reach out?
Just find me on YouTube, my channel, Shadow Blizzard 3000.
And then also you guys can follow Brinton through me because I am apparently his personal answering service, and you guys will not shut up about it. Thank
you very much for being my answering machine.
I even appreciate that our buddy Rising Sun of the podcast has now just basically said, I'm only going to answer to Drax answering service if I ever get anything. So...
Oh my gosh. I'm really like for as long as I've been on this show, even during my brief little break because I was dumb, I don't feel like I've ever come across as scary or intimidating. I don't even feel that I am like that as a person. So please talk to me.
I know that's
come into the bosom that is Brinton. And
come to the bosom that is Blue Eyes Ultimate Brinton.
And be disappointed when you realize that his eyes are in fact not blue.
Yeah, I know for a fact that Alex has gotten some stuff. I know Romney did, because him and me talked about it quite a bit, but it just depends. And on top of that, I also know that these episodes are coming out a little bit delayed. I promise, guys, we will get that fixed. So, but yeah, if you guys want to reach out, you can also find him at Chatore30 on Twitter. So you guys can reach out directly. I'm not just the answering service, please. I have kids to watch. But when we come back, we will now be establishing not only the rare hunters as a threat, but also the rise of our favorite little underdog, Joey Wheeler. So we hope to see you guys next time for more Yu-Gi-Oh! Battle City.